In the lead up to Horizon Forbidden West's looming launch, we've taken some time over the last couple of weeks to do detailed rundowns of a number of machines that we crossed paths with in its predecessor. From Thunderjaws and Tallnecks to Fireclaws and Stormbird, from Stalkers and Rockbreakers to Corruptors and Deathbringers, we've spoken about several Horizon machines so far, and though we covered a large number of the deadliest varieties in the game, a few are still left. Here we're going to take a look at some of those with the Scorcher, the Ravager, the Watcher, and the Longleg. Watcher. Watchers are some of the most basic and frequently spotted machines in Horizon Zero Dawn, and while that does mean these two-legged recon machines are some of the easiest machines to take down in the entire game, with the exception of a couple, they're also something of a staple. Within the game's lore, Watchers were some of the earliest machines made by Gaia for the terraforming of the Earth, with their primary purpose being to monitor and analyze the condition of their environment. After Gaia self-destructed and the AI Hephaestus went rogue though, the derangement came about, and the latter, now in full control, repurposed Watchers for more aggressive purposes. By the time Horizon Zero Dawn kicks off for about 2 decades, Watchers have been, well, what their name suggests. More often than not, they're found in groups, patrolling sites where terraforming machines such as Grazers and Lancers are working. To ward off or attack any encroaching humans who might hunt those machines, Watchers try to seek out threats in the vicinity, and if they spot something, sound loud warnings that not only make the herd machines fly, but also alert combat class machines in the area and draw them to them. Of course, Watchers themselves are also capable of holding their own in combat, if to a limited degree. They can emit blinding flashes that temporarily stun enemies, or fire off concussive energy projectiles from range. Meanwhile, they have a couple of melee attacks as well, while their agility and the fact that they can jump long distances can also make them tricky to deal with, especially if they appear in groups. Longleg. While Watchers are the most basic variety of recon machines in Horizon Zero Dawn, there are a few other machines in that class that are better equipped not just in busting stealthy opponents, but also in all-out combat. One of those is the Longleg. The fact that they're avian machines that can't fly might give the impression that they're not exactly the most capable, but Longlegs have plenty of abilities up their sleeves that can quickly catch their enemies unawares. Their biggest threat is their far greater ability to detect humans around them even when they're out of combat. While it's easy to avoid detection where Watchers are concerned simply by staying out of their line of sight or hiding in tall grass, Longlegs often use sonic blasts to detect humans in the vicinity via echolocation, which means there's a good chance that they become aware of your presence even if you're hiding in tall grass. Once you enter combat, there's plenty else to contend with. For starters, Longlegs are fast and agile, which means their movement is an obvious impediment to aiming, while their ability to lunge and quickly close distances also makes them threatening. With their claws and beaks, they can dish out decent amounts of melee damage, while similar to Watchers, Longlegs can also emit sonic blasts to temporarily stun foes. Above all else, however, the attack to always keep an eye out for is their ability to shoot out blasts of fire and jets from their wings. As you might imagine, that can be quite damaging if you get caught in it. Ravager. Here, we move on from recon class machines to those that belong in the combat variety. And though Ravagers don't quite compare to other combat machines like Thunderjaws or Stormbirds in size of the sheer breadth and power of their arsenal, they're still not to be taken lightly. In many ways, Ravagers also feel like more powerful variants of Sawtooths, especially because with their quadrupedal appearances, the two look quite similar to each other. But of course, Ravagers are far better equipped to deal with enemies than Sawtooths are. Like a Sawtooth, a Ravager has quite a lot of ways to deal deadly damage from close range. Using their fangs and claws, they can dish out all manner of fast and ferocious swipes, slashes, lunges, bites, and what have you. And if you don't manage to jump out of the way of these attacks, chances are you're gonna take some hefty damage. That, as you might imagine, would be enough to make any machine a threat in and of itself, but Ravagers have other weapons that they use as well. To be more precise, each Ravager is equipped with a plasma cannon that shoots out rapid bursts of energy, while they can also emit defensive electrical cocoons to ward off enemies that are close by. Suffice to say, Ravagers are familiar foes, and taking them down in combat is far from a cakewalk. Scorcher. Just as Ravagers feel like upgraded forms of Sawtooths, Scorchers feel like more powerful versions of Ravagers. These quadrupeds have a much more canine appearance, of course, often looking almost like giant mechanical foxes, and just like those two machines, they can deal out a frightening amount of damage with a vast and deadly array of all manner of melee attacks with their fangs and claws. What makes the melee attack of Scorcher far more of a daunting prospect than most other machines, however, is the fact that all of these attacks are imbued with flames, which makes sense, of course. They're called Scorchers, after all, and yes, they have ranged elemental attacks as well, and can do everything from shooting out walls of flames to emitting sudden blasts of heat to damage any enemies around them. On top of all of that, Scorchers also tend to deploy machines in combat to make things even more explosive, while they're also equipped with what are essentially jets that they often use for ignition boosts, giving them sudden bursts of startling speed that allow them to quickly close gaps and rush in on an enemy from a distance. To say the very least, Scorchers make for dangerous foes. Like Ravagers, Guerrilla has confirmed that Scorchers will be coming back in Horizon Forbidden West, so we can't wait to take on these machines in a fight once again. And with that, we've reached the end of this video. Have anything to say? Let us know in the comments below. Also, we upload new videos every day on GamingBolt, so please consider subscribing as it really helps us out. Thanks for watching.